Hi, welcome to the Shelly Studio. Today I'm doing some more jelly printing. This one's a little bit different. I've been doing one print pulls or attempting them. So this time I decided I was going to do it the regular way. Is that real? The regular way? Is there a regular way to gel print? So I grabbed all my craft green-ish colors. Some of them are better quality than others, and some of them I had forever. I actually got to throw one of them away today. I'm working on getting rid of my craft paint. That's a goal. Anyway, so the regular way is you brayer, you stencil, you put it on your paper. Then you get another color, you brayer, you stencil, you put it on that paper, and you create all these layers. So I have, let's see, 8, I think, different greens. So I'm going to be putting 8 layers of green on here, and then I'll put a focal image, and I add some white back in. Well, the first one didn't really need white added back in. I added the white. And as you see, several of those colors are very transparent. And so I don't know how much of that will show up, especially once I start getting into these darker greens. Now, I don't know, are you supposed to go dark to light, light to dark, transparent to non-transparent? Are there rules? Should I be following some rules? I didn't check the transparency before I started. I just put them in what I thought was light to dark and am going for it. But the thing is, once I get done, I'm going to create another one as a one print, pull print in reverse. So this should be interesting. So this is the same design 2 ways. It'll be cool. And yeah, so that is the 4th color. And I just grabbed some stencils. Some I thought had bigger openings, working my way down to smaller openings. And I want more stencils. I have a lot of stencils, but I feel like I want different stencils. I think you get tired of looking at the same ones over and over again, right? So, yeah, I want to get a new variety. And I do. I have one stencil for every single color. That was color number 5. I'm already on number 5. And here I'm just cleaning it up because it was really juicy. And I just went ahead and let that dry and then put the next layer on. And this one I think is pretty, well, no, this one's a little bit transparent. There were some that have been opaque though. And they're craft paint, so some of them are very matte, flat when they dry. And for this one, I'm just using some scrap paper that I've had from work. And again, I let that dry. It doesn't take very long here for things to dry. And then put this one, and this one is an Elizabeth St. Hilaire. It's one of my newer stencils. That made an interesting pattern. So there is my, I think that is, yeah, that is it. Sorry, all of a sudden I had to cough, so I stopped recording really quick. So I felt like it needed some more depth, so I put the black down. And I'm going to add some scripting. So maybe there's just 7 greens, then a black. Makes the 8th color. And I'm using my Baron to push down hard into the stencil so I can get some of that scripting. And I like that, the little scripting on there. Now, I liked the scripting, so I decided, I found it, you didn't see it, I tried to dry it. And then I'm going to pull a print just to clean the black off the plate, and because I thought it was cool. So I do actually let this sit for a bit before I peel it off, but there it is. I think it's cool. Alright, so I wanted to put a flower. I wanted a focal image, so I decided to put a red flower on here. So I pulled out some red. So yep, that's yet another color. That makes 9. And I'm just blocking off that extra so that it doesn't end up on my paper. That red's pretty staining on the plate. Make sure I have everything going the right direction. And I just pull that. It's it's a dollar store stencil, what can I say? So I take a little bit of paint and a brush and give it a little extra so that it shows up more. Does that count in jelly printing if you paint right on it? Everything counts in mixed media, so, it's mixed media. There are little petals behind, but yeah. It's on there now. I'm going for it. There, I'm just cleaning off my brush. So I cleaned all that off, and now we're going to put a little white on here. Maybe it's snowflakes falling down. I should have used something to mask the flower. I was thinking I would not push on that area. And I don't think I do with the Baron, or do I? Maybe I just forgot and I just baroned the whole thing. You'll see when I lift it. Like, I painted the red and I covered it completely. So now I just want to lift that white off. That white leaves a lot of residue, so I'm going to take my teal blue again and clean up the plate. Sorry for the coughing. This time I'm just putting a thin coat on, and it should easily clean that off. Nothing spectacular on there, but hey, it's pretty. So now I need to fix my flower, so I'm taking the stencil and putting it back into place, and we're gonna paint that a little bit again. Sorry. I don't know why all of a sudden I had to cough. So I'm giving it a second coat because you can still see all those white dots. And then I'm going to paint into it again. And I probably should have just left it at this, right? But no. Sorry. I was thinking if there's snowflakes, I want a few to be on there. When you're stenciling with a sponge, you need to make sure you have just a minimal amount of paint. Don't do this. Yeah, that was a lot. And very splotchy and squishy. So I decided I had to put that in a few more places, because if it's in more than one place, it's intentional and not accidental. Isn't that the rule? I think that's the rule. Alright. So now that that's done, I do wait for it to dry, and then I'm taking my Stabilo and kind of darkening around the flower so that it will stand out even more. And activating it again. I say again, if you watched my last video, which I'm kind of editing these one after the other, this is my thing. Activating the Stabilo with a little bit of matte medium to make it permanent rather than temporary. Or it'll no longer be water reactive because it will be sealed with the matte medium. That's my hope anyway. Trying to turn my head away to cough. Alright, so there's that one. Now we are going to attempt this in reverse. So the first one is the white. And what I do is I actually do one layer and then walk away. So this second piece took like a whole day. I put one layer down, then left. Came back an hour later, put the next layer down, then left. Came back later, put the next layer down. And it's really hard to brayer that paint into those holes. At least it felt hard. So I think I go and I sponge some of it. Goodness. Really sorry about the coughing. Guess I could stop and come back, but I'm on a roll. Alright. Our jelly can stop now. That's enough white. You don't need to cover the whole thing. Apparently I thought I needed more around the edges. So yeah, I put the white all around the edges, kind of to make it look frosted, I guess. And then actually I let it dry for a few seconds, and then I decide to put the flower in, since it wouldn't be overlapping the white. I could put the flower in and let that dry together. And I didn't like the way it was looking when I sponged it, so I go to brayer it, and it kind of lifted everything. Well, it felt like it wasn't sticking, so I thought I'd brayer it, and yeah, it kind of lifted everything. So weird. So then I go in and sponge it again and leave it a little thick. I did notice as I was putting layers down, some of the layers resisted other layers. I don't know if it's because they're all different types of paint, because they're craft paint, because they're paint, period. I don't know. And again, I'm adding a little bit, thickening up the paint. Because I didn't want it to turn gray when the green and everything went down. Sorry. The stenciling of this, I put it the wrong direction. Should have been face down on the plate. So all those words will be backwards, except for this one section where it says, I think it says art is something. It's a Donna Downey stencil. But then when I lift it off, you can't read it. The paint is resisting, so some of it doesn't stick. So that I let that completely dry for like an hour. Then I came back to do this next layer. I did put a little white on the back side of the rose so that it would be more opaque and stand out more. So down goes the darker green. And you can see the white, it just doesn't stay covering. And so I get it rather juicy. You can tell there's a lot of paint on my brayer. And again, I let that dry for an hour or more. So now my issue is the stencils aren't sticking to the plate anymore because there's so much paint down. So I have to be really careful, especially the last few really don't stick at all because they are paper stencils. And this one, this paint is so runny. I think that's the one I threw away. Yep. Just went in the garbage. It's so runny. I feel like even when I do this, it's like so juicy. Do I go over it again? I kind of fan it to try it a little bit. And then when I lifted, I felt like the paint just kind of oozed out. I mean, these last layers, I don't think you hardly see them at all, honestly. And I have to hold them with my hand because they're not sticking. They're not sticking to that at all. And I'm doing this, I'm like, is this really going to come off? Like, is this really going to come off? The next color. Yeah, that went right off the edge. It's getting messy now. Okay, there's that one. I'm not too worried about them because I don't think they're going to be seen in the end. And this one I think is the fluorescent green. And I've got my hand there, and what do? I just like right over my hand, like it's not even there. Oh, I don't know. I'm silly. The only place I do see a few places where I can see the plate. So and it's close to the edges, so I'm really focusing on those edges, trying to get that color on those edges. And then, now that's dry, and here is the last one. And this is I think it's citron or something. And, yeah, I'm still getting paint on my hands. Alright, then I let that dry. Now to lift it, I'm going to put some soft body white and just really coat it. And I put this on right before, well, actually ended up being like 10:30 at night. I'm like waiting for that last layer to dry so I could stick this one on and put the paper down and leave it overnight. So I rubbed that in really, really good and leave it overnight. So here I'm saying, here's this one done one layer at a time, and then here is the next one with all the layers on the plate. And yeah, look how thick that paint is. This is like some serious paint coming up. Yeah. Look at that, it's like leather. What do you think? Which one do you like better? They're almost completely different. Like, they have a different feeling. One's darker, one's lighter. I haven't decided. You'll have to leave me a comment and tell me which one you like better. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. And thank you all for watching. Have an awesome day.